Kowalsky here, another Wednesday, you know the deal. We're in 1908, and obviously the defending champion is still Lasker. But now it's a very interesting story about his challenger. So you remember from the last episode that Marshall was, the one that was chosen to play in the last World Chess Championship. So now, well, we have a guy that actually beat Marshall, and he beat Marshall also pretty bad, and his name is Siegbert Tarrasch. Now Tarrasch is a physician, and he was again a very bright mind of chess, also coming from the German Reich. And the problem with this arrangement of the match is that it took very long for it to happen. Now Tarrasch beat Marshall in 1905, and then Lasker obviously had the match in 1907 with Marshall. But even before that, Tarrasch had some very nice successful tournament wins, even before in the late 1900s, even before the 20th century. And after his win in Monte Carlo in 1903 over actually a lot of very tough competition, such as Marozzi, Pillsbury, or Schlechter, who would eventually play another match against Lasker for the World Chess Championship. Tarrasch challenged Lasker after a very nice tournament win, but he had an accident, and so the match couldn't take place. And then Lasker moved on to Marshall. But now, neither one of them wanted to move out of their country because obviously they had other stuff to do besides chess. And it all happened on a trip that Lasker made to Europe. And in that trip, they agreed to a match. And let's just see the match without further ado. Running away is the mini title, because did Lasker really run away from this opponent? It took him very long to accept the challenge. But obviously, when you're a player that is that high caliber player like Lasker was, you really want to get paid for your matches, and that was again another deal. But we're not going to get into that. We're really focused on the chess, and this is game number 1. And here Lasker has the white pieces and Tarrasch has the black pieces, and we have an accident there. I misclicked. Sorry, but we're gonna have just a normal Ruy Lopez. This is the Morphy defense, the exchange variation, and here we actually have the move d4. This is a very interesting variation. It's not been played that much, but okay, we have this variation with the queen trade now, and there are a couple hundred games here, but they mostly end in draws. So c5, not the most popular move, but definitely played, and then knight back to e2, bishop to d7, and now b3. Now this has only been tried in one game in 1997, but other popular moves by today's standards are knight b to c3, bishop f4, or castles. So b3, not the most popular move. Okay, bishop c6, and we have a completely new game. Okay, f3, now defending the pawn this way, and Lasker just wanted to fianchetto shadow his bishop, so he does. Bishop to f6, and now we have an exchange, and knight to d2. Okay, long castles and long castles. So Lasker actually goes long castles, and the position is relatively equal here. So rook to d7, and they are preparing for okay, we have the doubling of the rooks, and now knight to c4. Sorry, not the doubling of the rooks. We have rook to e8. But both players want to prepare the rooks coming to the open file, and it's actually Tarrasch who would have a more pleasant endgame if he can solve these problems of the double pawns, and then create a little bit of space for his bishop. But that's easier said than done. a4, right, restricting a move like bishop b5, that would ruin the structure for white, and a5, not allowing any further advancement with a5. Okay, now we have the rook trade that I was talking about, and we have now only one pair of rooks and the knight exchange c4. Okay, how can Lasker move forward in this position because it seems pretty dry. Rook back to e8 and knight to h5. So he's gonna try to induce a weakness, and that's why you have rook to g8. Now here, if you try to play a move like g6, well then, okay, after knight f6, you're forced to play rook h8 if you want to keep the pawn. But this is very, very passive. Instead, Tarrasch tried again. This not very passive, but pretty passive approach with rook to g8, and that gave Lasker a little bit of time. Okay, f6, and now bishop goes back. The knight is attacked, but you don't really care again, and you don't want to go knight to f5. You don't like this trade because this would offer very, very great drawing chances. Instead, you bring the king forward. Okay, now knight f5 is definitely stopped, but knight h5 back. You want to go after this pawn, and now rook to e7 trying to defend. But now a very nice move by Lasker, g4. So not coming back with the knight, trying to remaneuver g4. Why? Because you can come back with the knight later, but you have to play this pawn move not to allow this break with f5, and that would kind of weaken the structure a little bit. So we have c6, maybe prematurely defending against this, and now just h4. King to c7, and now g5. But g5 is actually a mistake because of f5. So, I explained that g4 actually prevents this move from happening, and that would soften the structure up a little bit because you wouldn't have this f3 pawn sustaining e4. And by playing g5, you really give up this f5 move. Instead, okay, maybe a move like rook to d1, rook to d2 could have been tried. But it's really hard to see a sample line. For example, if you wait for one more move, if bishop e6, okay, then you can play this move, because after f5 now you can go e5, for example. But let's say bishop to e8 happens. What we're gonna do next? Now you're gonna come back with the knight, and then you play this very weird waiting game, or like if you go back to the bishop with the bishop now you can try maybe rook to g1 and then push. It's a very complicated position. But g5, okay, not the way to go. f5, and now it's kind of like a draw, because as I said, the pawn structure, okay, now it's actually drawable. So we have bishop f5 and h5. Here I think this would have been a very nice and easy way to draw the game. Rook d7, and in the event of the rook trade now is just a draw, right? This move kind of poses a little bit of a problem here. For example, king e6, and now, okay, let's say e5, you can go g6, let's say we trade, and now king e4, you can just move back. The king has nowhere to entry, no point of entry, and then okay, you have to be careful not to blunder like this, because this is a blunder. You're not gonna be able to get your pawns through, but okay. This would have been a draw. h5, but now, after rook d7, Lasker doesn't want to trade yet. So he moved the rook to c3. This is not a move that is like brilliant or something, but it's just a very interesting move, not trading just yet, because you cannot really lose this as white, let's be honest. King f4, and now the very next move, black makes a mistake. Bishop to d7, and this allows the move rook to e3 with now the plan of going to e7. Okay, rook h1 is tried, but now just knight back to g3, defending the h5 pawn, attacking the rook. Rook h4 check, you go king to e5, but the king is completely safe. Rook to h3, attacking the knight, but now f4 defends the knight with the rook. King to d8, another mistake, because this just allows king to d6, and it would have been game over. But okay, Lasker doesn't find it. He plays f5. This is still better. Okay, rook to h4, and now f6, and this pawn is just going. Okay, and you don't care about the h5 pawn. Actually, here you're just playing knight to f5, attacking the rook. And if rook to h5 would have been played, now you have this option of taking the rook. So you cannot take the pawn yet. You have to go rook f4, trying to pin the knight. But now g6, and after this trade, you are pretty much forced to sack the bishop. And if you don't sack the bishop, now you're just gonna take the bishop here and then play knight to h6. Well, either now or on the next move. G7 is also a great option. But okay, knight to h6 would have won because of the same reason. I mean, you go here now, you cannot stop it, and you're just gonna promote. Okay, and that's it. But okay, G7 is the same idea, and now well, I mean, Okay, this is just gonna be a win for Lasker, and a pretty long game, but definitely a very masterful way of doing it. And I really wanted to put emphasis on that. That's why I made this game longer, because this game was really worth it to understand what was going on. So Lasker debuted with a win, and now that brings us to the second game, and Tarrasch has the white pieces now. And we're gonna see very similar Rui Lopez, but this time we have the opening coming after the Berlin defense setup, and this is also called the improved Steinitz defense. So now here we can actually see the example of why future players are always gonna be better than past players, no matter what, because they can learn from what they made, the mistakes they made, and this is one such example. Knight to c3, and now bishop to e7. So we see black taking this more of like a passive setup, but it's it's solid in the end. Rook to e1, and now after this trade in the center, we have castles, and we have a massive exchange here. So actually Tarrasch begins a very slow attack. He goes knight back to e2. Now you cannot take the pawn, obviously, because you're gonna get knight to d4, and once the knight moves, let's say you go back, now knight takes on c6, and you would lose the bishop. So that's why queen to d7 is played, now preparing this. But in knight g3, now defense. Okay, fine. Rook f8, now b3. Again, seeing the foreshadowing of the bishop, but now it's actually even better. Bishop b2, knight to g4, and this knight to g4 move is a huge blunder. Right, it all seems normal, it's a huge blunder, but why exactly? Well, because of the following move. So the knight here was obviously guarding against the bishop, but you're gonna say, well, you're not gonna take, or are you gonna take? Well, you're gonna take, but why? Because if you take the bishop now, well, knight f5 check, and after the king moves, you just take the knight, and now, okay, you rook g8, but you're down a pawn, and there's no attack here. There's really no attack. And after bishop takes on g7, you have to sacrifice your knight back. But now after this exchange, you still go knight f5, and you still go queen d4 check. So you still have a massive attack here as white. Just look at black. This bishop is definitely dead, and all you have to do is just lift the rook and then just bring in the other rook, and then you might just win. But here Lasker said that if Tarrasch was not pawn grabbing, he could have won this game. Okay, I kind of spoiled the result, but we have this move which loses time, and it actually does lose a lot of time, because now what black gets is that he gets to replace this poor defender here with a very nice blocker. And now after Tarrasch brings his rooks finally and tries to create some sort of pins, and then maybe lifting options. Now it's actually Lasker that is really solid and has this option now of just developing the bishop to h6, and now this is actually not the best move, because you can go knight f5 back, kind of kicking the bishop back, and then you kind of lost tempo here as black. But okay, psychologically Tarrasch doesn't want to go back to where he just moved, so he plays queen f3, which is not the best move, because this allows now the move d5, and this is a key break, because in the event of a trade, you wouldn't trade the rooks just yet. You would play this very annoying bishop d3 check, king f1, and now take here on d5, and you cannot take the bishop, right, because it's defended, and you also cannot take the pawn because it's defended. So you would have to play this move knight f5, which is very dubious, and then d4 would have to be played, and then okay, knight takes on e3, for example, d takes on e3, and this is still better for white, but it's definitely not that much better as it could have been. So after this d5, e takes on d5, bishop e3, king f1, c takes on d5. Now instead of going for this knight f5 idea, you have rook to d3, and this is actually a blunder, a big mistake, because rook d3, you allow this queen to e7 to happen, and compared to knight f5, queen to not to d7, sorry, queen to e6. This queen to e6 could not have happened then, because after you take and take, for example, now you just get to take and take, and it's just that simple. It's that simple. Now you're just up 2 points, and this is winning. So rook d3, really big mistake, because now you're not allowing knight f5, and actually Lasker just takes that away immediately. Rook to d1, f4, now kicking back the knight to h1. This knight looks very sad. d4, okay, you come back with the knight, but it's too late. Queen swings over to a6, paralyzing this rook, and you're gonna have a lot of pins, and it's gonna be very bad. Knight d3, trying to block the pin, but it's already too late. Rook swings over to g5, trying to get to the g2 square, and rook to a1, now defending this pawn, but now the queen just moves over to h6, delivering the final piece to the attack. And now Tarrasch tries to run his king out, but it never ends good. It never ends good. And a couple of moves later here, Lasker just has to resist some non-existing counterplay, and in the end he forces Tarrasch into just resigning, because here, even if you do this rook trade, this is just mate, and you cannot prevent that. Like, let's say you give a check, and now you try to come back here, for example, it's still over, because now you're gonna have not this mate threat, but you're gonna have you don't have enough power to stop the attack here as white, because if you play, for example, something like f4 here, you're just gonna take bishop takes on f4, and then if you play something like I don't even know, maybe rook c1, okay, this is just capture, okay, let's see rook b1, you're gonna get mated queen to e2, so no point. And this just wants to bring me to the last game that I'm gonna show you. And I usually like to feature if the loser of the match actually has a very nice game, I actually want to feature that. So okay, by now you probably caught on to the fact that Lasker won again, and well, this game was just very nice, and I'm gonna just tell you right now. Tarrasch won the game, but he played just in a very nice fashion, and even Kasparov said that this is one of the best games that Tarrasch played in the match and also in general. So we have another Berlin defense, and knight takes on e4. D4 now. This is a much more popular variation, and this is the variation where the famous draw happens. But bishop e7 kind of declining this, and now white gets an edge here actually. Because he's forced to go back with his knight, and he lost just a lot of tempo. Knight to c3, and white just has some very nice development here. Okay, you just go knight to d4, and this is still normal. You wanna reach the f5 square, so knight to e6 is played here, and bishop to e3, consolidating the knight, and we have a trade. Here, knight to f5 doesn't necessarily work, because you have f6, and even if you take the bishop, you don't really reach anything here. I mean, you have this, for example, queen takes on f6, but okay, white is better, but black can definitely hold this. So bishop e3, we have this trade, and now c5 is played. Bishop back to e3, and now d5. So really, Lasker is playing very great moves, and now he just has opened his bishops to a very nice attack. But until the attack actually materializes, he has to face knight to e4, bishop b7, knight takes on d6, c takes on d6. And now it's just an opposite colored bishop situation. So, obviously the attacking side will be favored. c4, now kind of stopping this d5, queen to f6, and now rook a to d1. And here rook f to e8 and queen to g4. So now the position is actually equal, and Lasker managed to equalize. Now he just has to maybe bring in his rook, or just play a move like h6, or just play a move like rook e6, and he will be kind of fine in all those situations. Actually, not bringing the rook, by the way, that runs into this problem. I just didn't see that. Okay, now I see it, and that's why you want to play, for example, h6. So stop and think about this. The position, have this in mind, because Lasker here plays bishop c6, kind of losing a little bit of time. Okay, maybe preparing rook to b8 to target this pawn, and but this move really. You go rook e2, and now Lasker makes a mistake. He goes rook to e4, and he wants to make way for doubling his rooks, but in doing so, he induces queen to g3, but queen to g3 is actually a great move because you're attacking this pawn. But here Lasker sets a very interesting trap. Not really a trap, I would say, but this move, queen to e6, is really baiting this rook takes on d6, and I'm gonna show you why it's actually not the best, and why Tarrasch just played an amazing move here. And I think this move was definitely very great, because this capture here, and you're gonna capture this pawn right here, because if you try to defend the bishop, let's say just defend the bishop, then you're dead. Okay, just b3, defend the pawn, and you're slowly getting crushed here. But if you take the pawn, now the bishop is hanging, yes, but your rook is hanging, so you have to move the rook. Let's say rook to d2. And after this move, you have to continue the attack. You have to go rook to g4. But it's fascinating actually why you're being able to just hold this, because here if check and bishop to e8 is played, now you can actually have this queen takes, and rook takes rook. But now what I liked about this position is after queen to e4, you don't just get to play this and just bully the back rank and say that you're winning, because you're actually getting back rank mated. So you have to play a move like maybe rook a to d8, and okay, the game continues. You might win this, but okay, black has immense chances here. Okay, h6. So that's why h3 is played, and now all of those threats work. All of them, because there's no more queen rook to g4, and there's no more back rank mate. So that's why Lasker goes defending his pawn. But now, okay, one more attacker, and now okay, you have a block. But this is very insufficient, and here Tarrasch just hits Lasker with bishop to h6, and this is great because you cannot take the bishop with the queen, because now you just lose your rook, because if you take the queen, now you get back rank mated. And so this is a very nice bishop sacrifice. Queen to g6 is tried, but now we just have bishop back to f4, and this is attacking the rook now. So rook to e6, trying to defend this pawn, and here you just take the pawn anyways. And you have enough forces. Okay, queen to h5, now trying to run away from a trade, but it's already too late. Queen to g4, forcing the trade, and now after rook e4, we just have this bishop takes on c5, and I don't know why I paused there. I was just looking at the position, and here in the end is just really, you're up 2 pawns, and even though it's opposite color bishops, like let's say you move the bishop back, okay, you're just gonna get, for example, rook d8, okay, king h7, okay, maybe you're just gonna play, I don't know, let's say rook d7, okay, you're attacking the bishop, okay, bishop to c8, maybe rook takes on f7, okay, maybe h takes on g4, maybe rook takes on a7, and then you're just up 3 pawns, right? And then, okay, let's say you lose this pawn, you just play b4, and then you just have too much, right? Even though it's opposite color bishops. Tarrasch wins a very nice game, and now Lasker won the match. He retained the title, but these matches were so interesting, and they were so great, and it's just the fact that Tarrasch was a very strong contender. But still, Lasker was better in the end. And people say that, Tarrasch didn't play his full abilities. Lasker just beat the man 8-3 with 5 draws. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next one. Kowalsky